Do you have an abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset? Abundance mindset is rooted in gratitude for what you have, believing that there are enough opportunities, resources, and possibilities to support everyone. This mindset is community based and it sees another's success as something to celebrate. What is scarcity mindset? Well, it's the exact opposite. Thinking is limited. It's based on fear that drives a mentality of every man for himself because there's not enough. It's needy, it's greedy, and it's very limited. A very limited way of being and a very limited way of thinking. I'm Kumujina Ivaleni Nalawai, and I love to share with energy workers, body workers, and anyone who's interested in learning more about Hawaiian culture and spiritual teachings of Lomi Lomi, Ho'oponopono, and of course, Aloha Spirit. We gather right here to wrap the arms of Aloha around the globe. So wherever it is that you're tuning in from, just let me know so we can see just how far the Aloha is spreading into the waters of life. In this video, I want to share with you a simple Hawaiian parable about abundance. So let's get started. Here we are at Maui Nui Botanical Gardens. This is a nonprofit where they're perpetuating cultural waste through caretaking the land, and that we call malama aina. Malama means to caretake. Aina is the land that feeds, and this definitely is a place where the land feeds. So speaking of feeding, this is one of our plants. It's called ulu. One ulu tree can feed a village. And we actually, on Maui, have a beautiful project. It's called the Ulu Project, and it's out in Hana at Kahanu Gardens, where they are growing several variety of ulu from throughout Polynesia because one ulu tree can feed a village. And so we actually have a legend of the ulu tree. And Ku, who is one of our elementals and ancestors. Ku is the ancestor of movement, of fire, of progression, of being upright. And so he came to us in human form. Sometimes we call that a kukua. And when he came to us, he walked among the people, came into the village, and right away they could tell that he had certain supernatural abilities. And they knew that by the way that he cultivated and farmed, by his skill and prowess when he was fishing. And one day he was walking through and came upon a pond, and there was a beautiful woman who was swimming in the pond. He immediately fell in love with her, and well, he decided to stay in the village because he wanted to be with her. So eventually they ended up having children. And what was happening on the land, as can happen when you are in an island or on an island, there was a drought that came. And so they had limited resources and the people were hungry. And so he saw that his children and his village was suffering, and he decided to give something that he could give and in service. And so what he did was he got up early in the morning, he walked outside, and he went to a clearing on the land near the village. And when he got there, he started to do a prayer. And when he started to do this prayer, he began to sink into the earth. And his wife, when he had gotten up and said goodbye to her, well, he didn't say goodbye, but when he got up, she felt the cord cut. She felt the disconnect. And so immediately she felt like something had shifted. She got up, she followed him out, and she saw him chanting. But before she could get there, he was gone. So she went to the earth in the area where he had been, and she began to weep over the area. And from the earth, she saw a shoot form, and it was an ulu tree. And within a short period of time, it had grown
into a full-grown tree. By the time the villagers were waking up, the first ulu, which you can see here, breadfruit, beautiful green globe, was growing on the tree. And the people were seeing this tree that was new in a place where it had never been, and their mouths were watering. And they're thinking, who can get there first to get that ulu, because they were so hungry. And so they started to charge the tree. And no sooner did they get within a foot of the tree than the tree shrunk all the way back into the earth and was gone. He began to speak to his wife as a medium. And his wife said, my husband gave of this sacrifice in order that the people could have food. If you take and charge this tree in its young state and take the fruit of it right now and not allow it to mature and create abundance, then there will be food for no one. But if you allow this tree to grow and thrive to maturity and let all of the fruits grow in abundance, then we will have food for generations. And the people listened, and the people waited, and it was more that their energy shifted from greed or even survival, and some of the things that we do to survive aren't things that resonate with our spirit. We are born to be caretakers of the land. That's our kuleana, that's our responsibility, to be stewards. Part of being stewards of the land is making sure that we are always, and this is from my kumu Mike Lee, working towards increasing the opportunity for abundance without collapsing the source. This is a story that illustrates what can happen when we collapse that source. I've been to a fish pond in Molokai. This fish pond is called Kiabanu. And actually, the stones from that fish pond came from the other side of the island. And this fish pond is a mile long of rock wall. So how did they get all of those stones from the other side of the island to build a mile long of rock wall? They did it with intention. Maybe they did it with a little help from the ancestors, but they did it not so that they could have a fish today. They did it so that they could have fish 800 years later, which is now, thinking about us eating a fish out of that pond. And we don't think like that anymore. We think for today, we take for today, we take more than our need, and this is not aloha. Aloha aina, malama aina is about caretaking in such a way that doesn't just caretake me now, but honors the ones who were here before and caretakes the ones that will be here long after we're gone. That is the way that we have to be thinking, and that's what this illustrates. And so this project is a nod to that wonderful parable, and this tree is all about abundance.
Abundance is about balance, generosity, growth, not just physically, but also in our awareness in relation to our world. It's not about this fleeting moment, because this moment right here impacts the future. It impacts me, my family, my community. It's about the long game, as shared in the video that you just watched. It's about increasing the opportunity for abundance without collapsing the source. If we live by these principles, we will find that there will always be enough for everyone. Everyone gets to thrive. I hope this was helpful for you as you set out to create a life of abundance. And if you would like to learn more teachings just like this, please join us for a live retreat right here on Maui. We would love to welcome you. And if you want to learn when those retreats are happening, just write abundance in the comments below, and we will get you everything you need to join us. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Aloha and ahui ho.